from Gear-Report. This is Scott, and this channel this is a test of an idea we had to have a channel or a series of videos, a podcast maybe, about some of our nerdy interests, some of the things we really enjoy, like DC TV shows, Marvel movies and TV shows, Star Wars, Star Trek, and other things like that.
Just all of our nerdy interests, because we really like it, and it would be fun to share it with other people.
We are going to be talking about, as you might be able to see just in the description, Stargirl, Batman stuff, our favorite Robins, and what Sky did this past weekend. What did you do this past weekend?
So I went to a ComicCon, which was a ton of fun. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to come with me, but we saw some great panels, like Cast of Smallville, Stargirl herself, Beck Bassinger,
which Sky actually got to talk to, which was awesome.
Yes, that was a really fun experience. And there were so many cool panels and cool cosplayers. I'm a cosplayer myself. It's a very fun experience to do, and I think it's something most people should try because it lets you be creative.
Yeah, and you can see on our the pinned image for this video, you can see one of Sky's cosplays. It's Red Hood. We had two Red Hoods going, a friend of ours and Sky. They were both doing different versions of Red Hood. He did one from Outsiders. He did Sky did the more general.
I did the normal version. Yeah. Yes, and we had a wig malfunction, so there was no wig, but
still looked awesome. I've
been told it looked good.
Oh, sorry, you had our camera guy there messing with stuff.
I reached in front of the camera, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Okay, sorry about that. So, I'm going to say hi. Hi. And your offsetter on the microphone, if you can scoot, and you can scoot a little so that you both are getting the same volume. Like, you need to be the same distance for the microphone.
Yeah, we're not doing that. You need to go that way a little bit.
Yeah.
I need to come here.
It looks pretty good.
Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm loving what you're doing so far. Keep up the good work.
Okay. So diving fresh in, I think we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that Sky saw at the Stargirl panel. I did some research because I didn't see it, so I watched a lot of videos about talking about season 3, talking about season 2. Especially, there's a large focus in everything Beck Bassinger, which was the actor who played Stargirl, the actor who did the panel Sky was at. I did a lot of the stuff she talked about, and a lot of the research I did, a lot of the interviews I watched with her, talked about her favorite moment. And did she talk about what her favorite moment in season 2 and season 1 was?
She did talk about those. And I'm going to be honest, I don't have the best memory. If you saw those videos, he knows.
So watching Stargirl, I saw a lot of things I thought could be her favorite moment, especially at the very beginning. You see a lot of moments with her bonding with the staff, seeing Stripe for the first time, which in the show is her dad, stepdad Pat Dugan. He
used to robot.
Oh yeah, and a giant robot. So he used to be a sidekick for a guy named
Starman,
which used to be called.
If you don't know what the show Stargirl is, it is a DC show on its third season. Yeah. Yes. Well, it's
almost on its third season. It's going to be coming out soon. Like we said, it stars Beck Bassinger. It is a CW show. It used to be on, what was the platform called? DC TV?
DC TV. It's on CW now.
Yeah.
It's a coming-of-age story about a young girl realizing she has connections to a mystical staff and becoming a superhero because of this.
Not mystical, but we don't know that yet now, do we?
We don't know exactly how it works.
Yeah, and this staff used to be in possession of, being used by Starman, a superhero who's part of the Justice Society of America. Season 1 delves into Stargirl bringing back the Justice Society through her friends at high school being the members, and her stepdad, Pat Dugan, being another superhero and the part of Stripe. We previously mentioned the giant robot. Who forgets the giant robot?
Now, we're getting asked what my favorite part of the con was. He wasn't there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I actually think the panel that we're discussing right now was one of my favorite parts.
I mean, you got to go up, talk to somebody, and she gave the perfect answer.
She gave the perfect answer. Yeah. So the question I asked is one that most actors in a comic book series
get a lot.
It's very common, but I just wanted to know her answer. So I asked, if you were any other comic book character, who would you pick? And what is the answer we got? Spider-Man.
And you may be wondering, that came up randomly. On the other, we have 2 screens, and one of them just randomly popped up a folder. But you may not know this because we're just starting doing these videos right now. But Sky's favorite all-time character to cosplay, favorite comic book to read. Seriously, most of our comic books are this character, and we have quite a few. Favorite animated show, favorite movie to watch, all Spider-Man. Well, Spider-Man characters. There's some Batman in there. Batman's taking over. I got all the Spider-Man patches recently. Don't know where they came from. Just ended up on my bed. But yeah, interesting stuff. This is Sister Sky, Brother Randall, Sibling Sky, Sibling Randall. We're glad to talk to you all. Other things about the con that were interesting. What were your favorite things about the convention? And what was interesting? Not going to a convention in a few years. Is there any? We used to go to really small ones. The Holly Hill Mall Comic Convention,
North Carolina ComicCon.
So
we started at pretty young ages. Not as young as some kids you'll see.
I was 13.
He was 13. I was 11 when we first started going, and it was a really interesting experience. Growing up, going to Comic-Con and
Crabtree Mall.
Seeing how it can change as you get older. The experience. One thing I forgot how horrible it was is how exhausted you get just walking around so much.
I had no problem with that. So when we were younger, we went to our local or state conventions. There were 2, one in one part, one in the other, and there were things like GalaxyCon that were popular, but we went to the ones hosted by one of my favorite. I've met him in person. One of my favorite. I'm going to keep rubbing this people's faces that I met him in person. It's so awesome. One of my favorite comic book writers of our time. One of my favorite concept artists of one time. One of my favorite artists of all time and writers, Tommy Lee Edwards. If there's controversy now, I don't know about it, but he totally awesome guy. He did a lot of great work that I'm afraid I'm gonna say the wrong titles for, but he got both of these up and running. So most of both of these conventions, which we may be skipping on where they were on purpose, were right. They were both mostly writers and artists and graphic designers rather than the actual celebrities. This was the actual celebrities.
I always find actual celebrities much more interesting, in my personal opinion, because I like how they feel about playing the character.
Well, you're an actor, an actress. You really appreciate what they have to put into the role. I, as somebody who wants to be a writer, a journalist, a creative writer, I care more about talking to the artist, the illustrator, of course, the graphic designers, and the authors, or I really like talking to bubblers, the people who decide where the different boxes are going to be, like narrative boxes, or where the thought bubbles or speech bubbles are going to be, because I think that can have a lot of impact on a scene, because that's a part of what's going on that's literally being fleshed out.
It's really different on the. Oh my god! It's really cool to see the different perspectives on different people working on this type of media, because superheroes and cons like this have connected fans with characters they really connect to, and superheroes are lots of people love them. They connect to them for tons of different reasons. You have characters like Barbara Gordon, who has at times been amazing. Disabled representation. As a cane user myself, I love seeing her. And then there's also you have the small town boy, Clark Kent.
Can you go back to the comments just to be sure?
We see when one pops up.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I don't know. We're
trying to figure this out.
Well, we've both done it before. It's been a while. We're getting used to it.
I used to do cosplay panels. Spend a lot of time doing those in character. But,
fun. Okay, so we were talking about the transition. Going to my question for you. We were seeing artists and writers, and I remember getting nervous talking to them. They were doing the thing I wanted to do, so I would literally walk in circles trying to find out what to say for probably 30 minutes, walking circles around the main show area, where with all the vendors and stuff, not buying anything, but going around and waiting to get the mental strength up to talk to somebody.
You have to wait until you get that good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think I got a good question pop into my mind.
No.
It wasn't very creative, but it was good.
Just walking around the, what's it called? Showroom? What they call
it? So it's the showroom. You have Artist Alley and the merchandise area, and then the celebrities were in the same room.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting.
Yeah. So what was the experience like walking around that for you?
Tiring.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of interesting artists, cosplayers, just different people you can talk to. While I was doing this, I ran into other people cosplaying the same character as me. And also just some really interesting merchandise.
Yeah, I saw some
people to discuss and talk
I haven't seen all of your pictures, I'm sure, because I'm sure you took a lot. But but I saw some very interesting takes on the character you went as, Jason Todd Red Hood.
Yes. And I think we're going to morph into Batman a little bit here.
Okay, slowly going into Batman, which leads into my favorite characters, your favorite, my favorite character, your favorite characters.
But in the discussion of Jason Todd as a character, I think it's very interesting to understand that even in this world, the Batman characters can come from a lot of different situations growing up.
Yes.
So Jason Todd himself
got a comment.
Oh, we
Jason
did.
Todd.
He is from Crime Alley, which is, I'll answer that in a second. So no.
Yeah.
He's from Crime Alley, which is actually the place that Martha and Thomas Wayne died. So it's a very interesting situation. He meets Batman by stealing the man's tires and then proceeding to hit the man in the chest with a tire iron and call him a big boob, which I think is one of the most iconic moments in the Batman comics.
Yeah. Other than one of my favorite moments of all time, which we probably don't want to get into, but also has to do with Jason Todd. It has to do with one of my favorite comic book characters of all time.
The Joker, which is something we've agreed to disagree on. Our opinions of the Joker.
Whenever I go to a comic shop or any store that has any comic book apparel, I always take a picture. If I see any Joker stuff, send it to this person who utterly despises it and usually calls me names.
Least favorite character.
Yeah.
But so we're going to answer this question now. Did you find any new artists or characters that you had not seen before? No. So there's a group. I cannot remember what the name of the character is, but they're creating a new really interesting character who is a tiger. And putting him into the comics. So that's something I'd never heard of.
What
it's a new comic.
Are we talking Dark Horse, DC, Marvel?
No, it's a independent brand.
Yeah.
It's an independent indie brand, and it seems really interesting. And once I know more about that, hopefully we can discuss it in the future. I just have to look into that. But with artists, we saw a lot of really cool people who I had not interacted with before. And I did not give in and buy a lot of prints, but a friend of mine did, so I might be able to show those in the future and talk about the artists.
That's awesome.
Hover here, see how you can click show on screen.
So we can show the question. We didn't realize that.
Yeah, so the question, did you have any new artists or characters that you had not seen before? Have you watched Smallville?
I have watched the first season.
Okay, I've watched up to season 4. I've watched clips from the rest of it. I'm currently watching it, which is why I've only seen up to season 4. What did you go to that might interest people who are interested in Smallville?
I went to a Smallville panel. So we had Clark Kent himself, Lex Luthor.
Yes. Okay, Tom Welling was the guy who played Clark Kent, and the guy who plays Lex Luthor is Mike Rosenbaum.
Mike Rosenbaum. I know his name. Yeah. And then the actress who played Lois, Erica. And it was a very interesting...
You can tell we don't know the last name. Just Erica.
Just Erica.
That's our bad for now. We'll look it up later.
We'll look it up. We'll insert it somewhere.
Yeah.
But
comment section.
Comment section, yes.
Yeah, no, you tell us in the comment section.
Yeah, someone let us know. It was a really interesting panel to hear their thoughts on playing the characters. As it was quite a while ago, they went fresh on the details. Tom himself says that it's he remembers some things. He does not remember a lot of things.
Yeah.
Erica said she remembers it was yesterday. So
that happens with age. What I'm sure they do remember. Did you watch DC TV's Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW?
I did not watch it, but I've heard about it, and they discussed that during the panel.
They discussed the scene?
They kind of discussed they discussed it, but I haven't really seen the scene, so it's not something that I can talk about.
Well, something that may be of use to the people who are listening to this is the nature of the conversations that were being made in this panel. What were the natures of the conversations? Was it a concise conversation?
So a lot of this, they would get like a really off topic and talk about the opposite of what they were asked.
So like they would get distracted.
They get distracted very easily.
Like
and if you would like to listen to this, Michael and Tom have their own podcast called Talkville, and it's very interesting.
Well, I think it's very interesting. Have you seen it?
I've heard it's very interesting. Yeah. They discussed it. And they watch episodes. They go back and watch them and talk about it. And they hadn't really like seen the episodes themselves. So I'm saying that's really interesting. Was it Erica? How do you say that? Durance? Yes, it was.
Yeah, you sure?
It was Erica Durance. It was. She was actually really nice to talk to. For the questions, when she got answer the question, she asked the question. She answered it very well.
Wait, did she answer a question with a question? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I just can't talk very well.
Okay.
But she actually worked on the show before she was the character of Lois. So I think that's a very fun detail, and most of them directed at least one episode.
Yeah, that's true. And Lois came in. Okay, first off, Michael Rosenbaum, just be clear, I believe he played Wally West Wally West or Barry Allen. Either way, he played the Flash in an animated.
He played Wally West.
Wally West in an animated DC TV show. Do you know which one that was?
I am not positive, but he did get a question on if he would like to play a live-action Wally.
I mean, he doesn't have the bald hair and head anymore. He could do that. I didn't even think about that. He would
like to dye his hair red. Maybe an older Wally West.
Yeah, keeping in mind that Wally West has played the Flash in an older role before, that I could see that.
That could be interesting, yes.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Oh, so we were supposed to be shifting on the Batman, so.
That's fun, isn't it? Oh, it was the comment. Go back to the comment.
I already took the comment off the screen. This one or this one?
Eric Jones, Lars. Okay, so we were going to shift into Batman. We were talking about Robin. We were talking about the Joker massacring Robin. Robin with a crowbar. We only hinted at that, but that's my favorite.
Massacring.
One of my reasons that was my favorite scene is because it had a moment in the comic book community where. Do you know this?
So the fans got to decide if Jason Todd was brutally murdered or not, which is
I don't think they do.
Fun.
They did not know how Jason was going to die. My understanding, based on an interview Mark Hamill did, is that the guy who plays he did voice for the Joker and I believe the DC animated Batman TV show.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, there have been a lot of those. Some very interesting ones, and most interesting for me was 2005's The Batman. Oh. But the guy who played the Joker in the animated Batman TV shows, one of the iconic voices for the Joker, I would think. He played the Trickster in The Flash. You probably know him more famously as Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, that's probably where you recognize his name.
Yeah, that's probably where you recognize his name.
That's where I recognized it from.
Yeah. Not the Muppets, no.
The Muppets, he was on the Muppets.
As Luke Skywalker.
I
wanted to lead you into that joke, okay. Yeah. So he had his own YouTube channel where he did a series of interviews with famous comic book people with a puppet, and on this, a puppet mascot, yes. And he went into the DC archives and he talked to one of the creative directors and writers of DC Comics who did a whole lot on Green Lantern, whose name I'm currently missing a bit. But he got to talk about this Batman issue where Robin was massacred and how it was a vote. So they put it out at the end of a comic book that fans could decide. They could send letters in deciding if Robin would die or if Robin would live. And so he ended up being... Oh, no comment. What? Okay, So he ended up being massacred by the Joker and later brought back by Ra's al Ghul through the Lazarus Pit.
It wasn't exactly being brought back by Ra's al Ghul. It was more like a blip in the timeline that had him coming back to life in his grave, and he proceeds to claw his way out of it. And I have a little bit of a grudge against anyone who voted to kill Robin. You wanted a 15-year-old to die.
Let's be clear on the reasons this could happen. You have somebody, which we already did not steal a tire. He stole the hubcap from Bruce Wayne's car.
Same
Batman,
difference.
even worse, protector of Gotham's car at a time where I may be mistaken, but he wasn't necessarily totally hated by the police. At least not by one, right?
And it was also on the anniversary of Bruce's parents' death. That's
Which
why
he
he was
didn't
in
know.
Crime Alley.
Well,
Yes,
let's be clear.
Which he didn't know, but it's an interesting fact to add on to that.
Yeah, it adds a lot of depth to what was going on in Batman's mind. And it might have been why he took to Jason, because he was having those feelings at the time.
Yes.
Even though they're kind of very different than each other. They're very much opposites of one another.
From discussing Jason, we can go to discussing all the Robins. I don't know if you guys know this. There have been around 5. Maybe more, maybe a little bit less.
This is going under banner. Okay. We're sure getting used to the format here.
Yeah.
But we're going to be discussing different types, the different Robins, and the different types of personalities we think they have. Is that what you want to discuss?
It was just
and what we think
breaking them down in their
personal
histories a little bit.
You can focus on that and I can react. I can do Jason Todd, I can do Damian Wayne, and I can do the first one, Dick Grayson. And
I'm a little more attached to some of them than he is.
I can talk about the death metal Robins. That's about it. We're going to try to go through this conversation kind of fast so that we can get to the 3 CW shows that we really want to talk about. 4 CW shows. Smallville was on the CW, believe it or not. It was the first
superhero show they had, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it kind of led to the network thinking, you know what? We can do another one. And they went in not the lighthearted Smallville direction, but basically, I'm Batman, but with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, they went opposite.
Yeah.
They steered the other way. But
okay, let's make sure we're staying on track and not getting distracted. So, Robins.
I think it's easiest to start off with Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
He is the iconic one. If you think of Robin, you think about Dick
We're going to
Grayson.
go chronologically. We may skip on Robin War. I'm sorry. But
I want to discuss Robin War.
We'll discuss Robin War.
Just a little bit. One of my favorite characters is from that. So, Dick Grayson. You guys know the fact that his parents died during their act as the Flying Graysons. The lines got sabotaged by a criminal. Okay,
so Dick Grayson was a character who was a gymnast. His family was a gymnast in a circus, and both of his parents were doing their act with Dick in the act. He was, like I said, he was a gymnast. They were tightrope walkers. Acrobats.
No, they were acrobats.
Okay.
I think I know a little bit more about this than you.
Bruce Wayne was in the audience when his parents were shot, and he takes him in eventually. He makes him his adopted son, and after finding the Batcave, Dick Grayson becomes Robin.
And he actually named the cave, the Batcave himself, named the Batcomputer. And the reason Bruce was so compelled, even though he was pretty young himself at, I think mostly it's 25, he was like, I relate to this child and I want him to have a good upbringing.
Because Dick Grayson's now an orphan.
Yes. So that's really interesting. Over the years, Dick will eventually get fired from being Robin and become the protector of Bloodhaven.
Okay.
Nightwing.
You say fired, I say quit rebelliously. What am I getting wrong here? Because that's what I've always been told. He quit rebelliously. He's now Nightwing because he wants to take a new image. And a lot of continuity, I don't know if this current can, he gets a Nightwing name from Superman, trying to take a more lighthearted approach to his heroing. Nightwing, for those who don't know, was a
Kryptonian myth.
Yeah, Nightwing and Firebird, a Kryptonian myth, which Superman's also taken the name Nightwing before.
And Betty Kane, who is a Batman character that isn't discussed much, was at a point Firebird.
And what was her normal identity? You say she's a Batman character. Has she taken any other?
She's a cousin. She's also been Batgirl.
Also been Batgirl. Okay.
Which is
the one with the really weird costume.
Yeah, the one with the weird costume. So, and then if we move on, we've already discussed Jason Todd. So I don't think we need to have an in-depth conversation on him.
Let's do a general background for those who have just been with us, skipped through to Batman. We probably need to add a new banner that says Robins.
Oh, yes.
Discussing the Robins so that people actually don't get confused. Go up. Oh, okay.
Start talking, yeah.
Okay. Jason Todd. Who is Jason Todd? So, like Scott previously said, we see Jason Todd in Crab. That works. Let's start.
Okay.
Now that we have the proper caption with Nightwing, who was Dick Grayson. He was the son of two circus
acrobats. And he's a Romani character, which is really interesting. There's some good Romani representation out there.
Just to be clear, you don't like repeating things that we've said 3 times. So we're not going to do that. So he's a Romani character. What else is interesting about Nightwing?
I think the fact that he grew up in the circus is probably one of the most interesting parts.
But
also being part of the Titans.
Teen Titans, being the leader in that.
Eventually becoming Batman himself.
Right now?
Not at the current point, but there was a time where Bruce Wayne was thought to be dead, so he got lost in time. It's a bit complex. But during that time, Dick took the place as Batman.
Are we talking about Darkseid's Omega Beams?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Just wanted to make sure.
And then we already discussed Jason a bit, but I can just summarize.
Okay.
Basically, an orphan from Crime Alley meets Batman while trying to sell his hubcaps, hits him with a tire iron.
Let's keep in mind, Batman is a very acrobatic, going from ledge to ledge, building to building. Dick Grayson, a trained acrobat, a very good one, part of the Flying Graysons, the acrobatic team at the circus. He was more able to atone to that. He didn't need training. He was able to adapt very quickly.
So Jason brings more of a gritty touch because he's more of a street kid. He's never had that training. So that's really interesting. And then he ends up dying, gets beat to death, and then blown up by the Joker. In a situation where he was basically sold out to the Joker by his own mother.
Terrifying.
It's really scary.
My mom did
Dueling acrobats, yes, I know.
What are we talking about, dueling acrobats?
It's just like
dueling acrobats?
It's cool. Also, acrobat.
Whoa.
Obviously.
Are we talking about dynamic duo, duel? Is that what I'm getting here?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
But I think this can lead us on to our next Robin,
don't want to be talking about Catman? Dueling acrobats? Catman? So Bruce Wayne once had a friend who looked up to him and, much like Hush, wanted to be just like him. Finding out that Bruce Wayne was Batman, what did he do? But gain a youth assistant just like Robin, take on a persona. We used to love reading our Batman encyclopedia. We have two?
We have two Batman encyclopedias.
Did we just get the new one?
Yeah.
Okay. So we used to love reading our Batman encyclopedia, and I at least gained a passion for Catman. Not Catman from Fairly Odd Parents, which is a fantastic ripoff of this fantastic Catman, who is basically Batman, but not a hero and just a rival of Bruce Wayne. Of course, easily defeated, not having all of the training that Bruce Wayne has, or any of it.
To discuss the third Robin, we have...
I was talking about my point was we're talking about dueling acrobats, Catman, and Batman.
Okay. To discuss the third Robin, which I was going to talk about before I was so generously interrupted.
Generously, yes.
We have Tim Drake.
Which I know almost nothing about, so you have to enlighten me.
I'm leading this part.
Well, I'll make it clear what I do know. I know that in Batman Beyond, the Robin that later becomes the Joker is Tim Drake. You didn't know that?
Okay, so in the Batman animated series, he was Joker Jr., which is a really interesting fun fact. I don't know how many people knew that he was Joker Jr.
Batman the Animated Series is the title where... Okay, I'll always say it. I'm kind of needing this person trying to get him to say it. Mark Hamill played the Joker.
Yes.
That's where he did the voice. It took me a minute for it to mentally collect. But Sky said the name. I got it.
So yes, but Tim Drake was the neighbor of Bruce Wayne, mansion a few miles away, and his parents were never home. Archaeologists who traveled the world and left this young child all by himself. Just him and a maid that came once a week. So over the years, he eventually starts following Batman and Robin
I know
through
the story
streets of Gotham and taking photos of them. And he met Dick Grayson the night the older Graysons passed away, and remembered the flips that only Dick Grayson can do. So he's watching them one night, and what does he see? Robin doing the exact same flip. And
so it must be Dick Grayson, right?
So from this knowledge, he eventually realizes who Batman and Robin are. And through this, he realizes once Jason becomes Robin, that Jason Todd, the new adopted son of Bruce Wayne, must be Robin. So
I mean, that has to be obvious, right?
Yes.
A kid that's very obvious, I'm sure, in his demeanor and the way he talks from the slums of Gotham City.
Yes.
And then more brutal Robin. That has to be very clear, right?
I would say it is. And then after Jason passes away and Robin is gone, he's like, okay, I was correct. And he realizes that Batman needs a sidekick. And so he goes. He does not plan to be Robin. He goes to Dick Grayson and he begs him to take the mantle back, to become Robin again. But he's older now and he enjoys being Nightwing, so he says, no, I'm not going to do it. So,
yeah, he left being Batman's sidekick for a reason, right?
Exactly.
He wanted to do things different from Batman, not to have that influence of that dark and brooding.
Have his own approach to being a superhero, I would say. Anyway, he ends up meeting Alfred and getting a Robin suit, which he will eventually alter to have actual pants, because the original suit did not have pants. And he then becomes Robin.
Elaborate on that so that we don't sound very weird.
So weird. He has shirts. It's based on his acrobatic costume. That's my elaboration. But he becomes Why can they not see me? I don't know why we went away. Apparently, we're Jeff now.
Hi, Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Jeff. This is Gear-Report.
Yeah.
If you have any questions about Gear-Report, please let us know.
Apparently, we are Jeff. Let me fix that really fast.
It looks like. Do we have the banners from before?
How do we change our name to not be Jeff?
Okay, see if we have the banners that we added.
We do have our banners.
Hey guys, if you can hear us, you can see us, please let us know. It looks like we were off for a second. We're currently talking about Robins while our tech support here works on other stuff. I'm going to be going through. I don't agree with what you said about how Jason came back. We forgot to lead into when he comes back through a time rift or through the Lazarus Pit.
There are different versions of this.
I watched
and we both have ones we like better.
Well, I watched the animated Batman where he's in the Lazarus Pit. He comes back just like Sarah Lance does in Legends of Tomorrow and the show Arrow, where she comes back and she has that You okay?
Trying
and
to...
she has that bloodlust where she needs to kill people. So does Jason Todd. He comes back in a much darker tone. His
it's
mind.
It's like a Lazarus fog. It's Lazarus mind.
Okay, bloodlust. His. Again, it looks like we have a new viewer. If you can hear us, if you can see us, let us know. We had a connection issue a little bit ago, and we just want to make sure.
Yeah, we're having it's not listening to us that much.
We have barely enough bandwidth for you to see us and hear us, so we're gonna hope that works and comes through. Sky's going to be talking about how Tim Drake becomes Red Hood in his journey there. Are you aware of that?
Tim Drake does not become Red Hood.
Red Robin.
Red Robin.
Yum.
Yes, like the restaurant.
No.
So, check the comment. Yep, we can see you. Thank you so much for letting us know. That is very good for us to be aware that you can actually hear us and we are not talking to ourselves. So,
which is still interesting.
At the point that Damien has just come into the family, and we'll discuss him next. Damien has just entered the Bat family, and his father passes away. Or at least is
we're
presumed dead. I know, we're Jeff.
Wait, what's this? Do you know?
I do not. I'm sorry, we're having some tech issues.
Okay, we're back.
I was still talking about Red Robin. Anyway, we'll get better at having real discussions later. We can hear you at first for a minute. Thank you so much for letting us know. Her mom's on here. Okay. Happy to have a fan.
Okay, you got the mouse now.
I got the mouse. I have been given control back. But he becomes Red Robin because he has Robin taken from him without any warning. And this role that he's been in.
Damien first.
Yes. So more so, Damien needs a role to keep himself grounded and from stabbing people
and causing trouble.
And trying to kill his own siblings, which is unfortunately a big issue.
So as you can tell, we're very passionate. Well, this guy's very passionate about Batman. I'm more focused on Thor and the Hulk, but I have a lot of interest in Damian Wayne because he's such an interesting character. He's the son of Bruce Wayne, but not by choice. The leader
there's different continuities on this, and there are ones where the situation he's about to talk about did not happen. So it depends on what you are reading.
You're gonna have to defend this.
I love the story arcs of Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian Wayne as Robin. So do I. They have a very interesting relationship with each other as brothers, but also in ways it can be more of a father-son relationship because he's practically raising Damien for a good amount of time. So that's very interesting, and that's something I love discussing, and hopefully in the future we can have like an episode where we just discuss that type of stuff for each character in depth.
Yeah, I love discussing the details of characters. And for future episodes, while we're on the topic, we have topics like the Orville versus Star Trek and how they differ. The Orville is a science fiction TV show created by the creator of Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane. Woo! And immediately going into this, I'm sure I had a similar opinion to most of you that it was going to be a lot like Family Guy, and it was not. So I'm very interested. Different. Very different.
It is very good too.
So we're very interested to come to you with that and other topics.
I'll have to watch more, but anyway, leading.
And it has a bunch of youth characters. I'm coming into Robin again. I want to do it has a bunch of youth characters that are coming to see who they want to be in life. So and that has a lot to do with Damian Wayne, who was raised as an assassin. He was
raised in the League of Assassins, which is a very fun name.
So how was Damien's concept? You said I was coming into Damien's storyline. He was without Bruce's knowledge. How did this happen? Where Bruce had a son without his knowledge?
So there are some situations where Bruce knew Thalia was pregnant, but assumed she told him there was a miscarriage, and he grieves but moved on. And there's other ones where Damien's really made without his consent more so, and his knowledge. So that's a more interesting one that I'm not going to get into because it's a sensitive topic.
Yeah. What I've seen, he tends to come up out of nowhere. There's also, I just saw an animated film or something where he goes, meets Talia to talk about something. Presumably, she brings him there forcefully with League of Assassins.
Robin, but we can talk about her later. So
I may be missing someone, but I'm pretty sure this was there because Damian first is Tim out.
There was actually somebody before Damian, but we'll discuss her in a minute. So
was Tim injured? What am I missing?
I'll explain this. I don't think he knows about this plotline, actually. I want to answer this question first before I discuss my favorite Robin, Stephanie Brown. So, was Damian the best martial artist of all the Robins?
No.
Want to hear his opinion on this.
Immediately when he shows up, especially in the animated films that you're seeing now, he immediately runs into Nightwing. There's obvious. I want to finish my origin story. So the origin story talk of Damian Wayne is he was raised by the League of Assassins to be the because Bruce Wayne did not want to be the heir to the League of Assassins and take over after Ra's al Ghul because the Lazarus Pit that brings him back to life only works for so long. It eventually starts wearing off.
So he wants to take control of Damian's body. I feel like this needs to be understood.
But
he's not just raising him to be the next leader. He's raising to steal his grandson's body.
But in order to be a leader of the League of Assassins, a group that literally masters of martial arts, doing missions for people, so on and so forth, usually illegal missions, just to be clear, you need to have that muscle memory. You have to be a good fighter. So, I
sure thought it's okay to stage questions to fit you from it. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah. So, Damian Wayne.
What was our thought before we got the question?
No, I'm leading into it. Who's the best martial artist? Damian Wayne was raised to be an expert fighter. So when he comes and asks Batman to, Batman tries to find a way to raise him, tries to get him to be Robin because he's had success raising kids that way. Terrible idea, but had success raising kids to be vigilantes.
Which is not a healthy parenting method.
As a lot of you may know, Batman has the no-kill policy, and I think that's what he's trying to enforce with Damian here. Rather than being a ruthless assassin, teaching him to seek justice in a better way, rather than being so violent. So when he's on a mission, and the first Robin, the first son of Batman, he, with being the biological son especially, he has something to put over Nightwing, where there's a big rivalry, at least in Damian's mind. So when they get into the fight, because Damian wants to prove he's better, Nightwing actually subdues Damian, which I think would say that at first, Damian is the best martial artist. I mean, it's not the best martial artist, and it's Nightwing, because I don't think a lot of them would compare to Damian once he gets training under his dad as well.
Now, this is out of the Robins, but out of Batman's children, Cassandra Cain, who has been Batgirl, Black Bat, Irfin, she is the best martial murder.
This is the daughter of Lady Shiv, correct?
Yes, this is the daughter of Lady Shiva and David Kane. Shiv. Yeah. So that's very interesting. And now I want to talk a bit about my favorite Robin, who's actually very close to Damian. Let us know if you've ever heard of this character, actually, because I don't think she's as well known as I would like her to be. There is Stephanie Brown, known as Spoiler and Batgirl, and was at a time the girlfriend of Tim Drake. So Drake's father was in a coma for a long time, which is why he was the foster child of Bruce Wayne. But when his father leaves the coma, he finds out that Tim is Robin. And as most parents would be, he was incredibly disappointed by this, because it's not safe. So he forces his son to quit being Robin. Now, this is something that caused a lot of tension between Stephanie and Tim. When Steph decided to take on the role of Robin without talking to Tim first, because she, as Tim did at a time, believed that, Batman needs a sidekick. Exactly. And she's only in this role for about 3 months. But I like to think having her as Robin was very interesting, because we get one of our first glimpses of a female Robin. She's also a very complex character, being the daughter of, I'd say, more B-list criminal Clue Master. So she was raised in an environment around this type of stuff. And now there's one more I want to cover, and then we're going to shift onto a different Batman topic, which is very interesting. And then I also...
Is it the dude with the power of sight?
The power of sight. Duke
I have
Thomas.
the power of sight. I can see my face. Hi.
It's not exactly the power of sight. He can see glimpses into the future, but he also has a vision where he can see more so in the dark. Duke Thomas can be counted as a Robin through the Robin Were comic storyline, which is where Bruce Wayne was not Batman because he had amnesia and wasn't able to be Batman at that point. So Alfred helps set up a group of... Secretly, very secretly, they don't know he started it. A group of young people called the We're Robin movement, and Duke was one of them. And he's a very interesting character.
Take what this means to heart. Alfred saw Bruce taking these young people, one of which got murdered, came back, and became a psychopath. And he's like, we need more of these children becoming dangerous vigilantes and endangering themselves, especially those who are not being able to be trained by Batman.
It was a dire situation.
Not being able to be trained by Batman. I'm not going to get adults that have martial arts training. I'm going to get teenagers who have specific skills who may not be fitted for combat.
Anyway, so Duke eventually becomes the foster son of Bruce Wayne, and he'd actually known Bruce since he was a small child. So it's very interesting, and his family was targeted by the Joker because of their connection to Bruce Wayne. But moving on from this, there's a new character as the son of Bruce Wayne in a show called Gotham Knights, which is very incredibly loosely based off of the game Gotham Knights.
Really?
All they really share is the name.
Oh, that's interesting. What network is this show going to be on?
This is going to be on the CW. And when the announcement for this show came out, it outraged fans. It outraged me. I'm still trying to cope with it.
I mean, did you like Batwoman? Were you hoping there would be a Batwoman would keep going and there would be a continuation of the story? Because we've been told they're not connected, and is that what's bothering you?
So as Batwoman, I think they butchered a lot of things, which did upset me as a big comic book fan myself. You guys can give your input on what you think about the CW does. But in this show, they are also butchering. So instead of using one of Bruce Wayne's 5 children as their protagonist,
not to mention all the other characters that could have been brought up.
There's so many other characters they could have used. Randall, what did they do?
That's a good question. All my thoughts have escaped me.
They make an original character.
Well, they made an original character. We don't know what the situation is, if he's actually Bruce Wayne's son, what's going on yet.
So,
what we do know is that he recruits the kids of a bunch of villains who, as well as him, are being, I wouldn't say recruited. They're
being framed for the murder of Bruce Wayne. And he doesn't know the exact relation of Turner Hayes to Bruce Wayne. And I will just give some input on this because very vivid, avid Batman fan, I know this. So basically, Turner Hayes is the rebellious adoptive son. And if they really wanted a character to fit the mold,
I wonder.
Who could they have used?
Does his name begin with a J and his last name begins with a T?
Yeah, it's Jason Todd.
I would not have guessed.
It would have worked very well, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit better than
Well,
this
we'll
does.
see how it works out. We have a big difference on how we think adaptation should work. I'm okay with a loose adaptation that tries to improve on the original.
And I think it should follow the media it is based off of.
Yeah.
Which, like how the Young Justice TV show is very different than the Young Justice
loved
comics.
the Young Justice TV show. I grew up with it. I thought it was awesome.
And I, on the other hand, cannot watch it because it's too different from my favorite comic, which is Young Justice, 1998. And they have two completely different
That's your favorite Superboy costume, other than...
It is my favorite Superboy costume. But
other than this one, obviously.
Yes, other than this one, obviously.
Actually, I have a better shirt, but we wanted to match a little bit, so we're going with this.
But on topic, they are pulling some characters from the comics that are very...
Doyle Dent,
which I feel like is an interesting choice to make. It's a very
I
odd
completely
choice,
agree.
I think
if you want a character where you can't be sure that if they're going at least a little bit comic accurate, if you're not sure where their alignment is, to use a more video gaming term, where their alignment is, what their goals are. Doyle Dent is a great option. You never know who her parents really are, and that really helps to bring that into it.
I think that is also very interesting, and that does have a point, but I'm one of those people who's like, I like sticking to it. And I think Randall agrees more with this.
Oh, I 100% do. One of my favorite one-shots is Alfred telling a tale in his journal of what Batman's life could be if he marries Catwoman and they have a
child.
Oh yeah, of course. I love those adaptions. Yeah, but if they have a child, that child grows up to be Robin. One of my favorite short stories, also Batman. I'm focusing on Batman because that's our topic.
I have a short story I very much like, actually.
Okay, you do.
It is a Penguin Catwoman love story written by the very famous Danny DeVito. And it is a real comic, and this actually exists. I cannot exactly remember.
Danny DeVito did play he did not play Batwoman. He played Catwoman. I mean, he
played the Penguin, and I would say that this very much reads as a purely written fan fiction created by the one and only Danny DeVito,
who is amazing at all things, of course.
And I like that idea. That's very interesting to me, but the Gotham Knights, I think, just strays too much. Yeah. It does have Stephanie Brown. It has Harper and Colin Rowe, who are some very interesting characters. They're very cool characters. Harper is a vigilante herself, Bluebird, but the way they're connecting all the characters in this, I just don't love it too much.
But we'll see how it is when we get to it. We weren't sure about if we would like Stargirl, and it's one of our favorite shows.
It's one of our favorite shows.
So you never know.
It's Supergirl, one of the things we bond over.
We love season 1. Yeah, it's true. First season of Supergirl we really liked because we thought it had a great idea. And then after that, we kind of lost touch. But we both weren't sure about The Flash because of they kept changing what they were going to do with introducing it in Arrow. First, they were going to do 2 episodes and ended up having him in only scenes of 1 episode. So we weren't really sure what we were going to like, and we loved it. You never know if you're going to like a show or not until they execute it. So I may end up liking Gotham Knights because I like I like a loose adaptation that tries to improve on stuff. And Sky may like it because it does the exact opposite, and it's like super comic accurate, and they're just using a persona for the main character till the show comes out. It could be Jason Todd.
Well, as a comic book fan, there's some storylines that I would there are some storylines I would love to be completely accurate, and when they're not, it just disappoints me.
Okay, let's go back to this previous comment. So loose adaptions are okay with us too, but I like the idea of one-shots. I want to cover one of my favorite one-shots of probably all time. I believe I say a one-shot. It leads into stuff. It has stuff coming from it, but it only has 1 issue, and it is called The Spectacular Octopus. So
I did not know about this.
No, you've never seen it. Okay, do you know what the Spectacular is? Wait, no. Wait.
Do you know
Superior
about
Octopus? Yeah, do you know what the Superior Spider-Man is?
I believe so. Is that when Dr. Ock is Spider-Man?
Okay, yes. It's more complicated than that. So
Dr. Ock switch bodies.
Yeah, so Dr. Octopus makes a machine to put his mind in Peter Parker's body, so he has all the powers of Spider-Man, and put Spider-Man's body in his dying body, and then he kills his old body with Peter Parker in it. So throughout this, he kind of has Peter Parker inside his head, just a little speck of him that's left, trying pushing him to do good things. And he does. He becomes Spider-Man, but he becomes a little more brutal as Spider-Man. He tries to become the best version of Spider-Man, so he's more brutal with villains.
He gets Peter in trouble for plagiarism because
he's too lazy to be a photographer?
No, it's not that he's too lazy to write the essays, right? But Peter eventually gets in trouble for plagiarizing Dr. Otto Octavius because Otto was writing his essays for him while he was in the body.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
It is. But so he was Peter for a time. He was in Peter's body, and then later he has a clone version of his own body, which is mixed with Peter's DNA. So it's not just a clone version of him, but it's a clone version of him and Peter Parker. So after Peter kicks him out of his body, Peter slowly gets control.
So we're going to move back to talking about the octopus thing. Before we do, I want to let you guys know there's a lot of clones of Peter running around.
There are. We have the Scarlet Spider. We have 2 Scarlet Spiders. We have who else?
We have Scarlet Spider. There's a version of Jessica Drew who is a clone, but not in every version.
I'm sorry, since we don't know who you are, we're not going to...
It's not something we feel comfortable. If we don't know someone, we're not going to give them the ability to show something. That also just feels kind of sketchy.
Yeah, but because we don't know you. If Jeff were up here, we would of course do it right away if he confirmed it, but because he's busy working on the Humvee, which is a video you may see soon, and we don't know you, we're not going to do that right now, but in the future, we might totally let you show us something interesting and the backstage of StreamYard.
So, Randall, can you tell us about the octopus?
I can tell you about the octopus. So this is when, as we've been able to tell, Dr. Octo Octavius has the ability to put his mind in a different body. So instead of being a threat...
but we're just going to continue discussing this.
So instead of having a clone of him that has absolutely no idea who it is,
an octopus?
He puts it inside a clone of him and Peter Parker, who's not an octopus. He puts his mind inside that body. So he has some spider powers, and he makes a spider-themed octopus suit. It's a white suit with a octopus logo that kind of looks like the Spider-Man logo, and he becomes a villain while while Captain America is a member of Hydra. This is created by Red Skull with Cosmic Cube.
So Captain Hydra?
Yeah, essentially. Is that what it was called?
Yes, it's called Captain Hydra.
Okay, so while he kind of takes over the world really briefly, Dr. Octavius is on his side, but as we have seen where he has Peter in him in some way, shape, or form, Peter's part of the equation, he tends to go good. So after this happens in A Path for Redemption, he becomes a professor at a high school and tries to fight, professor at a college, and he tries to fight crime as the superior octopus. That was very fun in the comment section right there. No idea what's going on.
So is there any other topics that you'd like to discuss, Randall, while we're here?
Well, yes. We can discuss, do you want to discuss channel names? We were thinking about making this a channel. Before we do that, we're going to ask the comment section. What do you
guys want to talk about?
No. Okay, 2 questions. What do you guys in the comment section want us to talk about in the future? And we only have 3 people here. Someone just left. But what would you guys want us to
discuss?
What do you want us to discuss? And would you want us to make this a channel? Would you want us to make this a series on Gear-Report? But do you want us to continue doing videos? Do you think we'll
get our act together? We'll be better at it.
Oh, yeah. As we go on, we're going to get more comfortable with the camera. We're going to become better at talking to one another through this. And hopefully even how we look at each other, look at the camera will improve. Everything should improve with time.
My personal goal is to do a podcast on Spotify. I think that could be really interesting and help us expand what we talk about, not just Batman.
Of course.
And that could be really interesting.
This won't just be a Spotify podcast. This will be... just like you're seeing here, posted to YouTube and other platforms.
On our own channel, most likely.
Yeah, that's the goal, but that's what we're asking you guys. Do you want us to keep streaming in some way, shape, or form? Put it in the comments here on the Gear Report YouTube channel, which is totally awesome. We're so happy that they're hosting us today. You can see us in Gear Report HQ. They even let us use the space. So,
which is very nice.
It's so awesome. Would you prefer us to do a new section of Gear Report, just like the new ones that are coming out? Gear Report Camping, Gear Report Sailing, which hasn't come out yet, may have spoiled something. Totally apologize. Gear Report Firearms, Gear Report Outdoors. Do you want to see Gear Report Nerd, Gear Report Comics?
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Do you want us to have our own YouTube channel? But yeah, the question: do you want to see what is now Gear Report comic chats in some sort of capacity to keep going forward? Do you want us to keep making videos?
I think we'll keep making them anyway. But...
yeah, it's gonna happen. But 2 comments at once. Quick stuff here.
You're also on Twitch.
That is so fun.
We did
I
not
have a
know
Twitch
we were
account.
on
We
Twitch.
can do that.
I'm gonna admit that.
Do you have a Twitch account?
I do not have a Twitch, but I feel like that would be fun.
You have to be on. If you have a D&D Beyond account, then you also have a Twitch account.
Oh, apparently I have a Twitch account.
Yeah.
No. Future topics. So I'm gonna make this so you guys can see it. Future topics: movies versus comics. I have very, very strong opinions on this.
Me too, but as you can imagine, they're going to be very different,
which makes for a good discussion.
It does. We have
Yes.
rivaling opinions and, in some cases, similar opinions.
Yes. Best versus worst versions of characters. We also, once again, have very different opinions.
Yeah, I think the amalgam universe, as DC and Marvel put into one where they combine characters like Captain America and Superman, is the best. What do you think?
I like them to stick to their own universes, but one of my favorite crossovers was a Marvel and Batman crossover where Jubilee and Tim Drake dated, which is very interesting.
Was this Marvel versus DC?
No, it was not. I can't remember exactly. It's like from the 90s.
Okay.
Favorite stories from the various ages of comics, gold and silver, etc.
I don't know about you, but this is something I can dive into with extreme joy. I absolutely love conversation. I really absolutely love Golden Age comics, especially with the Flash and Lois Lane. Superman's I believe it was titled Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane, and there's so many bizarre adventures she goes through. There's also so many bizarre Superman adventures from just things of the time, like Superman becoming fat, Superman becoming a woman, Superman becoming a lion, Superman getting an ant head.
There's so
Superman becoming a more obvious alien with green skin and antennas.
They'd make so many like incredibly goofy things like that, which are so interesting, and you'll see panels from them like out of the blue with no context, and they're cool. And the same for the Golden Age of Marvel comics. Like you have that one where it's Spider-Man pointing at each other. Which is, by the way, hilarious. We love it.
Oh, yeah. We love talking about it, especially with Spider-Man No Way Home. The new memes with that, we love talking about.
We could probably have an entire conversation episode on Spider-Man and our favorite movie adaptations.
We will probably have 3 episodes about our favorite Spider-Man's favorite movie adaptations, favorite animated adaptations, or favorite comic books. Like I said, most of our comic books are Spider-Man.
We can watch and discuss the Japanese Spider-Man TV show?
No, we won't.
I think we should.
We might. Yeah. That may be you and Jason.
Me and who's Jason?
He's the other guy who's okay. No, I'm sorry. So other guy is gonna do this. But yeah. As we're talking about.
Jason.
He looks like Devin.
I know who Jason is. I just forgot.
Okay, so as we're talking about things we're going to be talking about, a big thing that we're probably going to be talking about is the Comics Code Authority and how that affected comics. And that has to do with the various ages of comics. That made it so that comic book publishers had to make things more appropriate. They couldn't have dark, gruesome stories. They couldn't have blood and gore. It led Batman comics to an interesting direction that we're going to talk about later.
And something I personally will want to lead a conversation on is disabilities in comics.
Okay.
Because, so lots of our disabled characters, I'll just be very brief about this, like Barbara Gordon, have had their disabilities taken away from them, which, in my opinion, takes the representation that us people in the disabled community rarely get. It takes it away from us. And I'm a cane user, so I need a mobility aid. So I really connect to Barbara, and when they took that away from her, it really hurt.
And I think that
you would like me to have representation, I'm hoping?
Well, I would, but as somebody who wants to be a writer, I understand that each writer has their own vision of a character. They may have grown up with the character, and they may want that character to return and not notice how it affects
like how they wanted to have Barbara as Batgirl again.
Yeah, because they grew up with Barbara as Batgirl.
They just don't see the other side of the equation.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand the other side in a lot of situations.
Which is a really interesting conversation we can have in the future.
Yeah. We also want to talk about Stargirl in the future. As you can tell, there's gonna be.
Again.
We're not big. Like you see our reactions, but there's probably going to be a few reviews in there. Justice U is another interesting one. That's from the CW verse, also known as the Arrowverse. John Diggle originated on Arrow. He's in recent years, since Arrow ended, he's been on pretty much all the active DC TV shows. We thought that the Superman and Lois. Do you know this?
I do not. So
we thought we were seeing him in the Flash. We were seeing him in Supergirl, and it's Batwoman. We thought that he was probably going to be coming around to all the shows, and that was going to be canon. But when he was also coming back to Superman and Lois, it turns out that's a totally different universe. So everything, it's not in the Arrowverse. So he's showing up in that. I did
not know that actually.
That just happened. So that kind of happened with Diggle, where he said something that was kind of off. I don't watch Superman and Lois, and people were talking to the people who write Superman and Lois, and they're like, "Oh, it's not part of the Arrowverse. We're doing our own thing. This is a different genre."
Speaking of the Arrowverse shows, we can talk about the failures of them and shows that have been canceled.
Supergirl is going to be a long discussion.
Naomi will be a short discussion because it only got one season, and I watched every episode. I did not like some of the things that happened, but it was still an interesting show to watch.
And it was. The first couple of episodes were amazing. We weren't sure what they were going to do. There's a lot of suspense. It kind of felt like Riverdale, didn't it?
It felt like Riverdale without the 500 different plot lines.
It still had a lot of plot lines, though. Yeah.
They just changed things.
Yeah.
And we're very avid comic book fans.
Well, you have to understand. I'm okay with some change. I'm okay with
we have that difference.
Yeah. But there was a lot of tone changes that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with. But that's a conversation for later. So videos we're wanting to do. The Stargirl, going deeper into Gotham Knights as we get more information. Justice You, and favorite Batman character. This may be I love this. So we'll put this up. This may be in the form of our own channel.
Yes.
A podcast.
We need a name.
It's, of course, I think we're going to continue doing StreamYard, I believe someone called it. So that we'll be going to our sorts of platforms. I want to set up a Twitch. We're going to have the recorded audio and then have it edited into a Spotify podcast. And we're probably going to have separate shared videos of just one of us talking about a nerdy thing we got and we want to review. This is Gear Report, so there's, of course, going to be reviews in there.
I love doing audio editing, so I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, this is my editor right here. It's going to be absolutely great. I
think we need a name. We haven't came up with anything yet.
Yeah, so we have 2 more main discussions. For anybody who's just popping in or wants to stick with us, if you can come up with a tag or whatever.
We're on Twitch. I still don't know how. We're streaming on Twitch?
Yes, we are currently streaming on platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, and a couple of other specific platforms that host Gear-Report videos.
I did not know that. I assumed we were only on YouTube. So that's new information for me.
Sorry, Todd. Okay.
So, that was so out of context.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's a joke right there.
So the names I've had, are super siblings, but that's not very creative.
Okay, we'll write it down, even though we're not that sure about that. I had the perfect name come to me earlier today before we had an idea to do this. And I have no idea what it was. We'll put super siblings down, as hesitant as we both are to do that. It's very
hesitant.
There's, of course, the obvious Gear Report nerd, but since the start your own channel, we've had that advice from someone in the comments. We've both had the idea to not do a Gear Report channel and to only be on Gear Report occasionally. I'm very into camping,
cool
backpacking, sailing, and water sports, so I'll probably be on Gear Report more now that I've been in front of the camera for an hour and 8 minutes. I'll probably be on Gear Report more. So you'll see me there, and I will probably advertise this channel.
I've actually done this type of thing before, and I've stayed on for 2 hours without realizing it while doing cosplay events. It's very relaxing and fun to talk in front of the camera. It's something I personally enjoy a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it helps with conversation skills, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
So Gear Report Nerd, Gear Report Comics, Super Siblings. If you have any channel name suggestions, let us know in the comments. And we just got a comment. That was quick. Read it. Oh. It's a great start, guys.
I look forward to more content. Thank you so much. I'm happy you guys enjoyed this.
Yeah, I really appreciate you staying tuned for all of this. Thank you. It's been awesome talking to you guys. We'll probably be on for just a little bit longer.
10 minutes? Maybe less.
10 minutes, maybe more, maybe less. We'll see. I really like talking, so you never know.
We both do. That's why this was such an interesting idea for the two of us. We've
Yeah.
discussed this in the past.
But Fred, have a good night.
Super happy to
night.
talk to you.
Never know what times when people are in. Have a great night. We appreciate you watching.
But we've always been the type of people who have very long conversations with each other.
With people we know, yeah.
So it's very fun to just talk like this and have these conversations.
A long conversation we're going to have is Star Wars versus Star Trek. Not which one's better, but the differences between the two, which will lead us into our video after that, which will be the Urville. And when those two come together, we don't know.
And I think comparing the two of them is very unfair because while they're both set in space, they're oriented on two very different sides of it. So comparing them
I'm going to be comparing how they're filmed.
Yes, but I'm saying like the filming, the characters, but the people who are like versus.
No,
I don't understand that.
No, we're not doing that. We're going to be my main focus for that video is probably going to be the space batters and how they're portrayed in each individual one. How they have different alien races and the languages for both, and how those are translated, and their animated adaptations and how those differ so drastically.
I'd like to also host an episode on the history of the Jurassic World series and its spin-offs. I'm a bit of a nerd.
That will probably be with our other sibling who has a large passion for those type of things, right? Oh no, that's you. Never mind.
That's me. I'm the sibling with the passion.
Yeah. Maybe Jake will do it with you.
Oh yeah, I can haul one of my friends in.
Yeah. So the last discussion for our one viewer is what our background's going to be. So
this is what we currently have, but I was hoping.
This is guitars. If we eventually get our own setup, right now we have the third star Dragon Ball from the series Dragon Ball.
We have a ton of our own like Batman merch and nerdy stuff.
We have all sorts of nerdy merch and stuff. We have enough to have a whole display. We have comic books, nerdy books from Terry Burks and various other fantasy and science fiction authors.
My personal hope is that we can usurp the other side of the room and make our setup there.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Maybe the half of the garage that has Humvee stuff in it.
My desk.
Gear-Report.com. We need sound equipment though. Okay, one person who's here. Thank you for being here. Two people actually. 2 people
here. Thank
Fantastic
you so much
that you're here
for listening to us geek out about our love for comics and everything.
Yeah, and those could just be the people on here. There could be on other platforms right now as well watching us. And thank you for being here. We appreciate you being here. Chandra, the background we're having in the background, we have a Batman statue. We have multiple Funko Pops.
Funko Pops. He knows how to say it, I think. You got them for me, and he doesn't even know how to say it.
I know.
So sad.
Well, I didn't get them in the package. I got them from a used.
But he got them for me.
Yeah, I got them used.
All my Batman merch, I collect it. So.
Yeah, I have a Batman statue, which you'll finally be allowed to claim.
I'll be allowed to look at, yes.
Because it's going to be in our mutual background space there if we ever get one. We're going to have the Tolkien books, Terry Burks book, Tolkien, whatever.
We have a lot of books.
A lot of nerdy books, a lot of nerdy merch, sonic screwdrivers, lightsabers, superhero shirts, superhero posters.
My
X-Men posters. They're not batarangs.
They're wingdings.
Wingdings. Nightwings. Batarangs.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy that we were able to do this and discuss all this stuff tonight.
Yeah.
It's a very good start.
I think it's a good start. I think that we're going to get better as we do it, and we appreciate those who tuned into this and those who are going to view it. Remember, in the comment sections, we are going to be talking about what you want us to talk about in the future, what your favorite Robin is, and of course, what you would like to see from our channel. Do you want to see reviews of different types of nerdy gear, whether that is what patches you're going to put on your jacket,
building cosplays,
the different processes for that. We've both taken we went to multiple Comic-Con type panels where they cover how to make cosplays. We've both taken courses. I'm extremely out of touch on that, other than the making shirts and sewing portions. But if anybody is interested in how to make cosplays, we have friends that would be happy to tell us how to tell you how to do that.
Yes.
So
our personal experience is more in the sewing,
making the vinyl for the shirts.
That's our personal experience.
Yeah.
We're really happy to learn
I can make this.
and eventually make like cool
I
gear
can make
ourselves.
it better this. That's a great idea.
You can interview the Bat and the Cat. Yes. I think that's what we were discussing.
What's the Bat and the Cat?
Randall doesn't know the Bat and the Cat. That's so sad. So they're two local cosplayers, a husband and a wife pair. I have their Instagram.
Oh, the Bat and the Cat.
Yes, the Bat and the Cat. Thank you.
I know them.
I was supposed to meet them this weekend because I knew the husband when I was younger.
And I knew his son in middle school and a little bit of high school.
But I never had time to talk to them. But
Except at that ComicCon 2013.
But it would be really interesting to have a discussion with them and maybe learn from them. So we would love to do that.
I just noticed how long ago the 11th Doctor was, and I'm kind of sad. Because they were, his son at the time that we met them at that convention was dressed as the 11th Doctor. Interview with
Who's our favorite Doctor?
There's just Sky's favorite Doctor. You just got betrayed, right?
I did. I thought we were both Matt Smith fans.
Well, I am. That's the only sewing screwdriver I have. We have one or two new Doctors coming forward, seeing what David Tennant's appearance in the 60th anniversary special of Doctor Who is going to be. I know David Tennant's coming back. So much exciting stuff.
We love him in so many roles.
Oh yeah.
We can discuss actors that we follow throughout the careers.
Okay, so upcoming videos we have Stargirl, Gotham Knights, Justice U, our favorite Batman characters. We will in our next video. You'll probably find out, but there will be a short video on Gear Report telling you what our new channel name is going to be and how you can find us, and then
social medias probably.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be probably too many social medias for you to follow all of them, and we're going to tell you where to go. And then our first video is probably going to be a podcast like this where we discuss what we're going to do. But right after that, you'll be able to find reviews that we'll be doing, all the topics I just mentioned, and much more. I've mentioned multiple topics we're going to cover, from the Orville to Star Trek to Star Wars. We obviously have so much we want to talk about because more and more content keeps coming out. It's gonna keep on coming, so hopefully you're gonna keep on seeing us, guys.
I'm gonna do an episode just on the Top Gun series and its legacy.
Yeah, I wore aviators today, and I got so many Mavericks.
Apparently, he looks like Tom Cruise. I don't believe it.
Oh, I don't, but I got the military haircut. Yeah.
Anyway, to close the softening moment, we're really happy that you guys tuned in and listened to us today, and that it was entertaining, I guess.
We hope it was entertaining, and hopefully as we get more used to this, it will be more entertaining.
Yes.
We'll be back soon. Everybody who just tuned in or has been here, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. And like I said, we're going to have a video coming up telling you guys the name of our new channel, how you can find us. Remember, we're going to be on Spotify, Twitch, YouTube, and maybe even more. Maybe more.
Make a TikTok.
We just lost 3 viewers at once.
Anyway, good night, and thank you for watching.
Go to the comment section.
Oh, we have a comment. We can't believe yet. Good job. Thank you.
Put it on screen.
Who is Puccaneer? Is Puccaneer Dad?
Is it Clover? It's not Clover. I don't know who it is.
I genuinely do not know who Puccaneer is.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, guys. All these comments so far have been from YouTube, and we really appreciate it. We'll check the Twitch later to see if there's anything, and we really appreciate all of you guys commenting, telling us what you think, and everything as such.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I think that's all we have left to say.
That is pretty much everything. Guys, as we previously said, it's been awesome, and we will talk to you later.
Yeah, once again, I'm Sky, this is Randall, and this has been
Gear Report Comic Shop Talk.
Or Nerd Talk.
Nerd
Thank
Talk.
you. Have a good night.